This is Charles Stewart.
And the Reverend Dr. Anthony Williams.
We are Church Without Walls.
And we are here today to give you information that you don't normally get at church.
We come your way every Monday morning, 11 to 12.
Call in with your comment or your questions, and we'll be glad to try and answer them for you. If we don't have the answer today, we will get it to you on a message.
Don't you dare miss it.
This is Congressman Cedric Richmond, and you're watching the New Orleans Talk Network.
Hi, this is Stan Schofield, and I'm inviting all of my KWK family and my family to watch Church Without Walls, 11 o'clock on Mondays, for the greatest and latest show around. Thank you.
I'm Cynthia Lee Shang, and you're watching Church Without Walls on New Orleans Talk Network.
Hi, I'm Sheriff Joe LaPinto, and you are watching the New Orleans Talk Network.
This program does not reflect the views and opinions of the New Orleans Talk Network.
Yo, Mob, kick it for me one time.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. You are listening and you are watching Church Without Walls in the studio of the New Orleans Talk Network. We're here every Monday morning, 11 to 12, Central Standard Time. I am your host, Charles Stewart, also along with the host, the Reverend Dr. Anthony Williams. We here every Monday morning to share with you what God have put in our mind and what it takes for this nation to move forward, for us to come together and show love towards each other. This show was designed with the community and our country in mind. So we invite you every Monday morning to share with us what you have learned in your church, house, or what you have shared in your community. We here every Monday morning to have a conversation with our sisters and brothers. God wants us to love each other, and until we learn to do that, we always going to be in uproar all the time. I know many of y'all that watch the news, y'all know everything seems like in the book could happen. It's happening now, and we need leadership from Washington, D.C., all the way to the state of Louisiana. We need bold leaders. We're not talking about people saying that they lead. We need leaders who can deal with the facts and understand, and most of all love people. People from the way I see it right now, are being treated like animals. It's no respect. It's all about the dollar. They piling those kids in school. Many of them shouldn't be in those schools because they wasn't ready. But the president want them back in the school, so it doesn't matter that, he threatened that he's going to take away some of their money. And so they said that money, Dr. Williams is a root of all evil, so the evil seems to be taking over. So today, we're going to be, out of all the things that going on, they still got people that love people enough that they're out there fighting for people every day, and that's what I call real leaders who fight when the camera light is on. They fight most of all when the camera light is off. And we have a special guest today that's gonna be sharing with us her fight, her struggle that ever since I know her. She been out there fighting for the people in her community and the people across the state of Louisiana. I never forget, she had a slogan saying, "It ain't on fun when a rabbit got the gun." So she always have been fighting, and she always seemed to me that they've been chasing her, but God, some kind of way, let her win, and that's Belinda Parker-Brown. She going to be on the phone with us today. We know what with this virus, the way it's going on, we have to be somewhat careful about what we do in the studio. But we thank God that she's going to be coming on the phone with her and one of her co-members. And Dr. William, would you like to have something to say before we get into the show?
Just would like to try to get some of the leaders in the community to call the show today. I want to get into calling names, but we've got senators and we've got councilmen, you know,
judges, all of them.
Anybody call in. Give them that number, Charles.
1-563-999-1808. Again, 1-563-999-1808. And just want to add to that, Dr. William, we talking about our leader. We're going to bring Dr. Belinda Brown in after our first commercial. We're going to bring her in. But anyway, you know, Dr. Williams, when you really look at it, to me, it's my opinion on it. It's a sad day in America when you got men let one man dictate to them what they can do for their state. I mean, it's sad. I mean, I look at the news last night. I had to move the television when, when I think that was Saturday, the president signed 4 executive orders. And none of them really mean nothing. It just was a photo op, but he manipulated all them guys. None of them man enough to say that the president, those executive orders that he's signing don't mean anything. It make it look like to the people that he done something to help them when he really just playing a game. And you can't blame him if he can do that and get away with it. I mean, but they scared to talk. I've seen some of them guys. They, like when I was a little boy, where my mama used to call a man that wasn't a man, she called him a guinea man. I don't say what that is, a guinea man. But it's, in the older days, women didn't have respect for men if they wasn't real men. And most of them guys, them senators, congressmen, a lot of them be ducking the microphone. They be kind of interviewing. Mm-hmm. They scared of what the president said, what the president, they done ran out of the conversation saying that he don't know no better because he been there for 3 years.
No, if you're elected to an office and you can't hold that seat in that office, you don't need to be in there. Because, the president only have temporal power. And that power is only going to be there for a season. And then after that season is over, that's it for him. When you look at some of the stuff that the president have done, and I'm an advocate. I watch TV, I watch the news, I do a little bit of studying, I look on the internet. Some of the stuff that he's done pertaining to people that are in position, if they don't want to follow his orders, he's terminating them. That's what a businessman do. That's not what a person.
Dictator also.
Yeah, a businessman become a dictator. My way or the highway. Mm. It can't be there. You've got people who are working with you that have ideas too, and then you need to pay attention to some of the ideas that people are bringing to you. And when those people bring those ideas to you, if they're feasible, you ought to work with them.
Right.
But I don't see him doing that, and that's just my opinion. Not the radio station opinion. This is my opinion by me saying what I'm saying. You could take, for instance, when President got in office, he abolished the response committee for the pandemic. He abolished that. Okay. He took that out. Mm-hmm. Okay, now that was something that we're not getting into Obama, but that was something that Obama put in.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do, Dr. William, is we're going to have to take our first break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about real leadership. Young lady that I think that in the state that she done showed that she is a leader and she's not afraid to lead. And after we take our break, we're going to be back with Dr. Belinda Parker-Brown, and also Dr. Zena. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back. 1-563-999-1808. You are listening to Church Without Walls, Dr. Anthony Williams, and Charles Stewart.
Are you looking for a home to live stream your next event? Give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on the Gulf Coast that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
This is Charles Stewart.
And the Reverend Dr. Anthony Williams.
We are Church Without Walls.
And we are here today to give you information that you don't normally get at church.
We come your way every Monday morning, 11 to 12.
Call in with your comment or your questions, and we'll be glad to try and answer them for you. If we don't have the answer today, we will get it to you on a message.
Don't you dare miss it.
The New Orleans Talk Network, now on your mobile device, on your computer, in your ear, and interactive. It's new, it's innovative, and it's on your mobile device. Android, iPhone, iPad, and on your computer. Take us wherever you go. Because we're interactive. 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255.
This program does not reflect the views and opinions of the New Orleans Talk Network. Viewer discretion is advised.
We are back. You are listening to Church Without Walls, Dr. William and Charles Stewart. We come your way every Monday morning, 11 to 12. We have two special guests that we have on their phone with us that are going to be sharing with some of the things that are going on in the state that we're not even aware of. And these two people, they keep up with what's going on in the state because they love the state of Louisiana, they love this nation. And that's almost a daily thing that they do every day. They love people so much. They constantly fighting for our community and fighting for the people in the state of Louisiana. And I'm talking about Dr. Belinda Parker-Brown and Dr. Zena Crenshaw. And we so happy to have them on the phone. And we're going to let, Dr. William and all of them, we always tell our guests that act like you at Burger King. They say you ain't Burger King, you can have it your way. I know you ain't going to use no bad language, so you can let the people in the state feel the way you feel. We don't put no muzzle on what you to say. Both of y'all can speak freely, but I would like for you, Dr. Brown, first, to introduce yourself to the listening and viewing audience, who you are, and also Dr. Zena will follow you, and then we'll get into the subject.
All right, Mr. Stewart, I want to say thank you so very, very much for this opportunity to come on the Church Without Walls today, because I hope that, everyone is listening. I have sent out quite a few notices and told people to tune in, and that we're screaming live on Facebook. I am just, right now, Mr. Stewart, it's people like you that I really appreciate that give us the opportunity. When I talked to you earlier, you say, I want to bring you on after the first break so that you can take all the time that you need, because I know that you have something to say that the people really, really need to hear. So I appreciate you so much for, honoring that, and and wake up everything that's happening in our country right now. The people really need to know the truth about what's really going on. We need honest people that is not afraid to tell the truth and let their voices be heard, because my grandmother always told me that the truth is going to stand on its own two legs. The truth don't need no help. So, and that's what, this is all about today. We want to talk about, real true leaders, people that have, responsibility and taking, sworn oaths to, to serve the people, to protect the people, to make sure that, people are safe. And I just want to say, it's a bad taste in my mouth against our leadership today. Donald Trump said it best. It's just a lot of fake news. It's a lot of fake people out here. They saying one thing to your face and doing something else behind your back. A lot of our leaders been picked. They've been paid to represent us. They look like us, and they're not for us. So we're here to expose that today, and it's so important that we have to talk about it, because, we're in a time right now that our young people need to see real, true, bona fide leadership, because they're out here and they're, we got the BMK movement, we got all of this stuff happening across the country where, they're coming out, they're protesting without any type of wisdom and direction, because of the fact that they're hurting and they're suffering, and they're saying that somebody got to do something, Mr. Stewart. So on that note, I would just like to, introduce myself. I am Belinda Parker-Brown. I know you put that doctor on my name, but, I don't have letters in front of my name. I'm Belinda Parker-Brown, and, it's very powerful when we can get people, united together, that where everybody have a role to play, experts and professionals and, downright good people to do a great work. And that's what we've been doing here in the state of Louisiana. And I just want your listeners to know that, this show is going across, the entire world right now. And the whole world needs to know what we're going to talk about. So I want people to go and text, message, call somebody, tell somebody to listen and tune in to this show today, because we have none other than Dr. Zena Crenshaw. And she's going to introduce herself, and she's going to talk about why it's so important that we have this conversation, and we need our real leaders to show up and support this great work. So, I'm with Louisiana United International. We are a civil, constitutional, human rights organization. And what we're saying that's happening here in the state of Louisiana, that our governor is not doing his job. Genocide is taking place in the state of Louisiana right now as I speak. And we need a public outcry. We need the people to get outraged about what's happening inside of our prison population in regards to the COVID-19. And we need real leaders that is not afraid to step up and hold our governor accountable to do his job. The governor had a lot of nerve to send out a message and tell the people, the pastors, the bishops, the ministers' alliance, to take a 3-day fasting and pray. Now, fasting and prayer is good, but Mr. Stewart, that faith without works is dead. And when you're going to try to circumvent to tell us to go do something, and you have not done your job. You know, this is the problem with our leadership. We vote these people in office. They get in office and they forget all about who put them there and what they're supposed to be doing for the people. And they really don't care, because this is the problem. What we're saying right now is that the governor is not following the CDC guidelines. People are dying and suffering inside of our prison population right now across this whole state of Louisiana. And the governor is letting the fox guard the hen house. He's telling the people to go and pray while he got the fox guarding the hen house. So people are dying and suffering, and what we're saying is that it cannot happen on our watch, and we cannot do it alone to make sure that lives are saved right now. The public have to step up and hold our leaders accountable. So on that note, I want Dr. Zena to go ahead and introduce herself. Dr. Zena, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Belinda. Good morning, Mr. Stewart, and everyone who's listening to Church Without Walls. I so much appreciate being able to join Miss Belinda. I am the Assistant Chief of Operations for Louisiana United International, and I've been working closely with LUI leadership. Last 1 week ago today, LUI submitted a report to the Office of Genocide Prevention and the Responsibility to Protect. That's the United Nations Office on Genocide Prevention and the Responsibility to Protect. So I'm joining Ms. Belinda today to talk about the circumstances that brought LUI to make that report. And I just want to say this, and then I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Stewart and Ms. Belinda. I just want to point out just the fact that an organization that a situation would move to the point that we would have to make a report to the United Nations and tell them about the risk of genocide. Ms. Belinda says there is genocide going on in Louisiana, and in fact, throughout the United States, given how the government is handling the COVID-19 pandemic as it relates to incarcerated and African Americans. But that is not the type of, we submitted a 15-page report to the UN. And they think in terms of factors and indications of genocide. And we submitted a 15-page report that's looking at the variety of factors and indicators that suggest that the way the United States and the state of Louisiana and throughout the country are handling the COVID-19 with regard to the vast numbers of African Americans who are incarcerated in this country, that we are at grave risk of genocide. And we'll talk a bit more about, again, the basis of that report. But it's a sad day that we got to the point that we even needed to make that report, because that's not something you do lightly. That's not something you do just to, share your opinion or sound off. You don't go to the United Nations. You have to have specific factors and risk factors and indicators to support what you're saying. And we have 15 pages that we submitted. And now we've asked the United Nations to monitor this situation, because when the smoke clears, we are going to have a lot of African Americans who are dead because of how our country chose to respond to this COVID-19 pandemic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Zena. Mr. Stewart, I just want to say to you is that, I know we have a lot of clergy and, people listening to your show today. When Dr. Zena says that, when we have an outcry, when there is a pandemic, a disaster. It requires for evacuation. When we, experienced Katrina here in our city, it had to be ordered that the people be evacuated. And what we have, challenged, we wrote a letter to the governor, back in March, stating that he have executive powers to order a controlled evacuation. And what we're saying is that, we put everything together. We have, experts to come in and facilitate a controlled evacuation on who meets the criteria to be released. And if you remember, when this first hit, it was said that they were going to release, the nonviolent offenders and, people that was basically due to be released within, 2 years or so. That's what we were told. But I want the world to know that they lied to us. They have already determined that it's better that these people die because they have not released. The last time I heard, they have released, less than 100 people here in the state of Louisiana, maybe more now because the ACLU had to turn around and file a lawsuit because they were not releasing the people, okay? So right there in Jefferson Parish, I want to say about a month or so ago, a young man was released, and a week later, he died. He went home, and he died from the COVID-19. He contacted the virus inside of the facility, okay? Now, this is wrong. And what we're saying, if you're going to have the Department of Correction be the one determine on who get to go home and who get to stay, that's a conflict of interest. Okay, that's the Fox Gardner hen house, because when I call up there the classification, the lady tells me that you don't really think we're going to start releasing these people and processing these people out, do you? Because if we do that, I won't have a job. Now, these are the type of things that's taking place. And the public outcry is that if we are, as the people, don't stand up and hold our leaders accountable, they don't do nothing, because the Fox is Gardner hen house, and the Department of Correction benefit for keeping these people in prison because they are the ones that's getting paid the federal government money. And I'm saying you cannot do this to human beings. It is wrong. And anytime I get a call from a Voyles parish where 8 people have died from the COVID-19, 8 people at one time, and not only that, the warden died, and the medical director died from the COVID-19, I'm saying this is nothing else but genocide. So it's wrong. Thank you so much for allowing me to share, and I'm hoping that if anybody have any questions, feel free, Mr. Stewart, you can go right ahead. And I know Dr. Zena want to break some things down so that the public can understand that if we are going to protest, if we are going to have a movement, if we're going to jump up and down and holler, take down the flags, take down the statues, take a knee here, and all the stuff that's happening in our country, then what I'm saying, people are dying right now. People are suffering. And not only the inmates, but the family members become victims of this, because I had a mother call me and she said that her son is due to be home in less than 2 years, and she don't know if he's coming home dead or alive because of this deadly coronavirus that's spreading like a wildfire inside of these prisons and jails across this state and in this country. Thank you.
Hey, Doc, could you hold on 1 minute, Miss Belinda? We need to take a break, and we'll be right back, and we'll continue our conversation. You are listening to Church Without Walls, Dr. Anthony Williams, and Charles Stewart.
We need to stand up and fight, walking Hi, I'm Christine Penn, and Nola, I want you to get ready for an all-new talk experience, Women of Significance, on the New Orleans Talk Network. Each week, we're covering new topics, new guests, new trends, and message of the day with me, your host, Christine Penn. So Nola, tune in each week on the New Orleans Talk Network, where we use our voice with power, with purpose.
The New Orleans Talk Network, now on your mobile device, on your computer, in your ear, and interactive. It's new, it's innovative, and it's on your mobile device. Android, iPhone, iPad, and on your computer. Take us wherever you go. Because we're interactive. 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255.
Yep.
This is Charles Stewart.
And the Reverend Dr. Anthony Williams.
We are Church Without Walls.
And we are here today to give you information that you don't normally get at church.
We come your way every Monday morning, 11 to 12.
Call in with your comment or your questions, and we'll be glad to try and answer them for you. If we don't have the answer today, we will get it to you on a message.
Don't you dare miss it.
This program does not reflect the views and opinions of the New Orleans Talk Network. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yo, Mob, kick it for me one time.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the truth.
We are back. You are listening and watching Church Without Walls. Reverend Dr. Anthony Williams and Charles Stewart, and we are talking to Miss Belinda Parker-Brown. I'm more than sure most people across the state know her for the great work she done did over in Slidell. She been really involving to a lot of powerful people that she put a cover off of them, and she certainly was fighting also on the phone, Dr. Zena. We want to ask y'all a question. I know y'all involved in it, but I mean, what organization is, do y'all have attorneys? Y'all have an organization that's been meeting with the governor trying to get answers from him? What is the process, and what can other people can do to be a part of what y'all doing? Give us more insight, and I know y'all working on it already, but let us know what organization that is dealing with the governor or the attorneys. Let our listeners know how they can get involved in what y'all doing.
Dr. Z, go right ahead and explain to them why it's so important that people get involved.
Okay, surely will. We wrote on Ms. Belinda's signature, we wrote the governor, and we proposed, I believe we may have been the first organization that proposed that the governor use his power, his evacuation powers, to engage in the controlled evacuation of the inmates. And the response initially was that they were going to depend on the Department of Corrections solution, because what we were proposing is that the state work with LUI as an advocate that has worked closely with this population, the people who are incarcerated, their family members, because in the controlled evacuation, we wanted to make clear this is not just about opening the doors and emptying the detention centers and the jails and the prisons. We want to make sure that people's human rights are protected, that when they come into the community, there's no public health threat, that they have the assistance that they need to survive, so there won't be any recidivism. And so the governor responded, by indicating that they were going to just depend on what the Department of Corrections was coming up with. Later, a task force was created Ms. Belinda, myself, and our chief operating officer sat in on the task force, and we made our recommendations. We work with subject matter experts from across the country, and LUI has developed a unique, what they call the decarceration formula, because when you make determinations about who should be evacuated and the priority of releasing people from the facility, we want it to be state of the art, to be based on as much objective information as possible, and make it consistent with human rights standards. And also, as I said, you do it in a way that the community is safe, and the family of the and the communities of the inmates are prepared to help them through this process, because we don't want to have it happen and then people, find themselves back in trouble and have to be reincarcerated after this evacuation. So we work with this task force, the subcommittee that was focused on incarcerated populations for most of May and June, and at the end of it, they made certain recommendations. They were commendable, but they were not talking in terms of moving quickly. We're literally taking months. We started this process in March. People were saying well before then, even March, that they needed to substantially reduce the prison population. And here it is, August.
Miss Belinda, Dr. Zena,
yes.
What we need to know from you is the status of your organization. What is your organization composed of? I realize you're making a statement about the work that you all are doing, but we need to know about your organization, how your organization is status, how it's structured. Give us that information so the listeners can understand who you are and what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, the organization is structured. We team with various subject matter experts across the country. We have a legal defense team that's headed up by our organization, Legal Counsel, and supported by volunteer paralegals, and they assist people with case-based advocacy. But with regard to these major public policy issues, LUI works with a variety of organizations. I have a leadership role with an organization that we call the Law Project, and we focus in on international human rights advocacy. So that's why I've taken such a leadership role in formulating LUI's stance on the legal obligations that are associated with the COVID-19. And
now with the COVID-19, what status do you think that the governor and other people in leadership should take in relation to the COVID-19?
Well, what everyone should be doing is putting pressure on the political system to respond appropriately. What has happened is that we have CDC guidelines as to social distancing, personal hygiene, facility hygiene, and the government, the state of Louisiana and across the country, we're even getting signals from the U.S. Supreme Court that, they don't have to bother with all that. Just, do your best, and they can keep people incarcerated. So what you hear with the major media, we hear a lot of information about court action. But, any court action, the simplest motion involves a lot of time. And the evidence that is coming out is that once people are symptomatic in these facilities with the COVID-19, even if you immediately quarantine them, the people around them, there's a risk that they've already contracted the virus, the potentially deadly virus. So whatever your station in life, if you're an American citizen, we need to have the public outcry that puts pressure on the political system, the governor. That's what we were trying to emphasize.
So what are you going to do with the people that are in the system right now that have contracted the virus? You're going to turn them loose out into the community to infect other people?
The evacuation is a process of determining, looking at the people's background, the circumstances that brought them to incarceration, whether they're symptomatic. We have medical doctors who are part of our subject matter team, expert team, we're not going to practice medicine, but if there's certain symptoms, classic symptoms that are being manifested, then your placement of these inmates would be in appropriate testing facilities, treatment facilities.
So, right, because right now, this is what I want the world to know. Right now, what they're doing is they're at 100 people to a dome, less than 2 feet apart, and they only get soap every 2 weeks. So they cannot practice any administrative remedies. So when we're saying that this is a burning house, this is a fiery furnace, and these are human beings that are being treated like this. So, if they would have moved when we first brought it to their attention, we probably could have the prison population reduced to the tune where they could administrate remedies. But I'm saying that we cannot sit back as a people and allow this to happen to a multitude of people just because they say they don't, the house is on fire, the fire truck is outside the door, and they're waiting to see whether or not the people are going to rearrange the furniture before they go in there and put the fire out. So it's very serious when you know that these are your loved ones that are being in a fiery furnace right now, subject to this deadly coronavirus. This is a serious virus. People suffer. It said the first thing it do is it attacks your lungs and you can't hardly breathe. Your body is aching, fever. People are in the domes with other people with these symptoms, and nothing is happening. And what we're saying as human beings, we cannot let this happen on our watch. Something has to be done, and it has to be done now. We need a public outcry.
The question that we need to ask you, where are you going to evacuate these people to? If you take them out of the prison system, where are you going to evacuate them to? You have to have a place set in mind. You can't just say we need to evacuate them. Where are we going to evacuate them to?
Exactly.
It's the state's responsibility to determine where these people are most appropriately placed. You have people who are going to be in need of testing. You're going to have people who are going to be in need of medical treatment. There may have to be facilities created, makeshift facilities. There have been examples of people that have converted abandoned schools in order to have space for these relocated inmates. Some people, yes, will go into home confinement. But that's part of the task at hand. That's part of the controlled evacuation. You make those determinations. What is happening is that has not happened. That process hasn't even started. At least as of June, it hadn't even started in Louisiana.
And China set up tents. They did everything they could to make sure that people were, in an environment where they can get the proper medical treatment. Even before we had the COVID-19, there was chaos. These prisons are nasty. They're filthy. A lot of people were complaining of not getting proper medical treatment before the COVID-19. And so what we're saying that it has to be a controlled evacuation. We have to, right now, what they initially started doing, which somebody just filed a lawsuit, was that the state of Louisiana was transporting everybody out to Angola and using Angola as a quarantine to evacuate, as a quarantine headquarters. Okay, and so they was taking people across the parish out there to Angola, but see, then they realized that they could not do that because a lot of family members started complaining because one lady, the story that I just told, took her son out there. He was due to be released in less than a month, and he went out there and died. Okay, so this is the type of thing when they could have put him into, like Dr. Zena just said, some type of infirmary, some type of hospital, a treatment, not just take them out there and then put them out there in Camp F or whatever, Camp D, whatever camp they was using to quarantine people, away from everybody else. And it's even worse than that. They're taking people off the street, putting them inside the prisons and jails with the COVID, not testing them, letting people out. So it's even more dangerous what they're doing right now because nothing is controlled, nothing is being monitored. We don't know what they're doing, okay? But I know for a fact that people are dying. I'm getting calls every day that people are suffering and dying inside the prisons and jails across this state, and they're lying to us. They're not telling us the truth. Anytime I have a wife call me and say her husband died 2 weeks before she even know he was dead, he done died, they done buried him, and didn't tell her nothing. Now that's wrong.
Well, Dr. Zena and Ms. Brown, what you're saying, I got a text from someone that had was in prison, and his text said that y'all is right about prison. They are incarcerated. Most of them is like, 2 feet apart. Sometimes you say you go days without getting a shower, but from listening to our conversation that we started out, we talking about true leaders, and this was a true leader, like you're saying, evacuate the people. It's almost when that virus hit the prison cell, it's almost like if it hit a hurricane that hit New Orleans right there, where you got to evacuate the people out. But I guess the difference is, like, you done had so many hurricanes, so they got an idea how they want to evacuate people out. But when that virus hit, that's something unexpected. So this was real leadership come out. How do we place these people in a safe environment? My guess would be the state-owned many building over the state of Louisiana. They could they got some hospitals that been shut down that they could have opened it up and put them in there. I mean, you could find somewhere, because I know in New York they sent boats. Right. There, to help people. Right. So, but I think the only way these people get help with people similar to y'all, like y'all out there fighting. Most times the people don't have nobody to fight for them. But I see y'all two, thank God that y'all are out there fighting for them. And that's what they need. And this is where real leadership comes. Like, some people, like I said, they only show leadership when camera lights on.
Well, you got mayors across the country who are coming up with systems.
Create ideas.
They create ideas. So why can't the president, and that should be something that somebody should be working on, pull all of these mayors together in a conference to find out what is being done in their region to try and help to cure the coronavirus, and then brainstorm and get some ideas on what actually can be done to give assistance to the people in the community. You had a system where the president actually cut off the system that was set in place by Obama to regulate or to work with a pandemic if it was to hit the United States. That was resolved. Then he goes back and tried to put together a group of people to help start a new response team.
Absolutely.
Hey, one thing I want to get in.
Saying, and I know Dr. Zena can definitely weigh in on that, because, when we have our leaders just sitting back, and not doing anything, this is, my heart is so heavy right now, because what we're talking about can be, this can be your loved one. This can be you. What you want, and I really feel that, the prison, some of the guys have tried to strike inside the prison and not eat the food and different things, but as a people, in a people of God, how can we just sit back and be blatantly disregarded by our leaders? Our organization, and I'm not trying to toot my horn or, a hype or anything. I'm just saying we're the only ones that is calling for a controlled evacuation, from our governor to use his executive power so that we can organize and facilitate something to save these people's lives, and also better, secure our communities to be safe, because they're letting them out. I'm just telling you, they're letting them out with the COVID-19. And going home,
Ms. Belinda, think about this.
subjecting the rest of the community, their family members, and whoever else with this deadly virus that they then contacted in the facility.
Think about this.
Nothing is being done. And I'm saying that as a people, we need a public outcry. We need to hold our leaders accountable, because when the dust settles, somebody is going to have to be responsible. We cannot just let a genocide take place on our watch.
Well, you got a two-sided coin there, Ms. Belinda. You got a two-sided coin there, and this is what you got to look at. If they start letting people out of those prisons, then crime rate's going to increase within our community again.
See,
so you
can't
can't just.
That's what they're doing. No, wait a minute, Dr. Zena. Would you please explain that to him? It's not a two-sided coin. Explain that to him, Dr. Zena, because see, this is the problem. People got the wrong misunderstanding. We want to educate you what a controlled evacuation is. You got to listen to the words controlled evacuation. Okay.
Exactly. Number one, there's a lot of scientific data, social science data with regard to risk of recidivism. But what we've pointed out in our position statement is you have to understand, you cannot expose someone to a potentially deadly virus on the grounds of what they might do when they get out. We are presumed innocent until proven guilty. So when you make a determination as to who should be released, you have to look at a variety of factors: their age, what they're charged with, what their record is since they've been in there. Someone may have done something when they were 18 and strung out on drugs. Well, you got people in there who have been in there since they were 18 and now they're 68. They've bad health. Their legs are amputated. They've been example, exemplary inmates. But they got, all types of serious medical conditions. So when you just say, non-violent offenders, well, this person may have been convicted of a violent offense, but they are less likely to be any type of threat to the community than perhaps some people who have non-violent offenses. So that's what we're talking about. It just shouldn't be our speculation. It should be based on objective data.
And what we're saying, not just let people out and without having some type of control remedies. We know what we're saying, if it's controlled, we don't want to let people out with the COVID-19. That's what they're doing. They're letting people out with the COVID-19, going home and dying and spreading it to the rest of their family members. There is nothing controlled about that. So
Also, the control relates to the monitoring. You have people that can have electric monitoring, bonds. There's a variety of ways for this to happen in such a way that rights are protected, the community is protected, health is protected.
Why not work on a system where you have rehabilitation education within the prison system and fight to get more people being rehabilitated? When I say rehabilitated, I'm talking about re-educated. You're spending $30,000 on one person in prison per year. So why not work on having that money dedicated toward educating these people so that when they come out of prison, they'll have something to do, they can find a job, and then have people put in place to make sure that they can go out and get a job, have people put in place to help them find a job. Then you would be working with the system to get a lot accomplished. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And we need those organizations and those type of people that will step up, whether it be ministries or whatever, to step up and help and assist in that. But right now, we don't want to be naive about the fact that prison is big money. They don't intend to help these people in the first place. That's why I'm saying a public outcry. This has to come from the people. This has been going on for too long that everybody's been talking about that prison is big money. It's modern day slavery. All of these things is taking place, and nobody is saying anything of really, we get a little group that pop up and say they want to start a nonprofit so that they can, feed the prisoners or house the prisoners or do this or do that. But the bottom line is that I believe that 90% of the people that are in prison shouldn't be there anyway. Okay,
well, it's not a rehabilitation system, because if you're going to rehab,
the fact of the matter is that they don't intend for these people to be rehabilitated. They want mass incarceration, and that's what we got. And what I'm saying, that is wrong, and we need a public outcry, and we as a people got to stand up and unite and do something to stop this genocide.
Ms. Brown, we, unfortunate, our time, we ran out of time, we think, to the producer. He let us went a little bit over, but do y'all, two things I like to, if the program director will let us get that in. Two things I would like to do is get y'all quick opinion, I guess, because you get to me in 30 seconds, both of y'all. When you're talking about letting people that been incarcerated out, and mainly the one that is nonviolent, those the ones should be out of prison. Someone that been in jail for quite a while, and I do believe he is nonviolent, Bill Cosby. Why they don't let him out of jail? I mean, so many other promising people that were friends of the president, they let them out of jail because they felt that they may be in danger of getting that virus. What about people like Bill Cosby?
Well, what I'm saying is that, like Dr. Zena just said, we have a unique formula on how this whole operation should work. Mm-hmm. And if we have the support of the people and our leaders that will come and unite with us and put the pressure on the authorities that can do something about this, we can have a controlled evacuation for whomever need to be released and attended to. But the problem is that if they're doing what they want to do. They're letting out who they want to let out. They're letting out rapists. If you got money, they're letting out people that can buy their way out. But, in the case of Bill Cosby, if they want to let him out, they can let him out. But if they don't want to let him out, they ain't got to let him out. So this is the problem. The fox is guarding the hen house. They're doing what they want to do, and the people are not saying or doing anything to make sure that we get justice for these people that deserve to be saved. No one have been consistent to the COVID-19. So what I want people to do is call me. Call me at 985-503-0626. It's time for the people to move. It's time for us to jump up and down and raise up our fists and say this is wrong and it's not going to happen on our watch. Call me at 985-503-0626 and go to our website. Read our position statement. I'm telling you, we have professional people, people that have already created a unique formula on how to do this. We need help. We can't do it by ourselves. Our website is .org. It stands for Louisiana United International. Go to our website, read about us. That's www.launitedi.org.
Give me your telephone number one more time.
985-503-0626. Is there anything you want to say on the last word, Dr. Z?
No, you covered it all. Perfect.
Okay, we have to end it. We have to end it on that note, but I promise y'all, Dr. William and I, we would have y'all back because what y'all are doing and saying is very important to our community, our state, and this country. So we will have y'all back on at another time. But thank y'all for sharing this information with our listening audience, and we thank those for listening and watching today. And Dr. William, we always end the show by saying,
no such thing as being half dead.
If you're dead, you're dead. So we thank all of y'all. Y'all have a wonderful week.
We